All right, look who it is. The boy got here. It's the first NFL offseason show, NFL free agency, and one of my favorites in the business, Eric Moody, ESPN is here. We're going to talk some free agency. Maybe we'll talk some draft. I don't know. You're in Dallas, though. Why are you wearing? Are you cold? What's going on with you, pal? You're heavily dressed.
Yeah, it was a little chilly this morning in the past couple of days. One thing about Dallas, my man, is that it could be like the high could be like 60, 70 degrees, but then the low in the morning can be like in the 40s. Okay. So like this morning, it was kind of chilly. And, I put this on, took the kids to school, came back. I got to work. I just kept it on. So that's my excuse.
I love it, man. So it has been a really, really busy day in the National Football League. And we've got free agency here. There's obviously the draft. The more I look at the draft, the more I see that the books are treating that as a loss leader, which means they lose. A lot of these books lose money on the NFL draft, which is fine. But free agency is the big one. And I want to start with some of the bigger deals this afternoon, my friend. So the free agent period officially opens on Wednesday at 4 Eastern. But today we know where everybody's going today. It's been a million signings. And I want to start with Justin Fields of the Jets. So the Steelers are pretty good with Fields in there, but there's no question he's really not your prototypical quarterback, right? He's pretty inaccurate. The good news for him is that he's lining up with Garrett Wilson. And that was a pretty nice tandem in college. With that being said, the Jets are just a complete debacle. Moody, I don't know who they could put back there under center and be successful. I don't hate the deal, but I also don't blame Jets fans for not getting excited because to me, this really doesn't move the needle.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's nothing to do a backflip over. We got a glimpse of what Fields was capable of last year. What did he have? 6 starts with the Steelers? We did see, if you're a film person, looking at like the improved footwork, the vision in the pocket. We did see some numbers, especially if you're a fantasy football player. You look at weeks 1 through 6, he averaged nearly 19 fantasy points per game, threw for 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns. We know what he can do as a rusher. But I think probably the bigger benefit, again, I'm not getting a backflip over this, Holden, but you look at the Jets system. They're going to cater to maximize Fields' dual threat ability. So I think he'll play productive football. You mentioned Garrett Wilson. That's exciting, dynamic playmaker. You got Breece Hall that's there. He's lethal as a pass catcher too. It's going to be a lot of high percentage throws and, Fields' rushing ability. Again, I don't think he's going to be the savior that's going to take the Jets to the promised land. So hopefully I'm not breaking anybody's hearts out there. If you're like a fantasy football guy, I'll close the loop on that, where it's like he's still going to be a QB2 with QB1 upside. So again, I like it, but I'm not necessarily excited.
Yeah, I'm interested in where they set their win total for the Jets. Is there a really big drop off between what Aaron Rodgers was last year and Justin Fields? Actually, Fields might be a slight upgrade. Now, it's not like Aaron Rodgers seemed like he was this great leader with the Jets. The guy couldn't run. He was a statue. His arm strength has gone way down. The biggest difference here is accuracy, but at least Fields can run. So maybe, and I'm not saying Arthur Smith is a good offensive coordinator, but he dumbed it down. He said, let's run the ball at Fields. We'll throw it once in a while. We'll have a good running game. We'll try and play defense. Hopefully our defense can bail us out. I think that's how this works with the Jets. Can they win 7 games? I'd set this thing at 6.5. I think 7 wins would be a nice season for the Jets in 2025. I'm serious, man. I don't see how much better could they be than 7 wins.
Yeah, you look at that division, that they're in. It's tough to see them really having like a Washington Commanders type of season. I'll say, I really don't see it. So I think Jets fans should be cautiously optimistic, but I think they got their hearts broken last year, so I think they may have learned their lesson.
Cautiously optimistic. I think it would be optimistic to win 8 games, Moody. So you and I are on different sides of the fence here. It's such a bad franchise. You have to be a transcendent quarterback to be good for this franchise,
Yeah. That's not
Fields. He ain't that. He ain't that. There's no question. Smash the like button. You get a second. NukeTheHouse.com. NASCAR season in full swing. The boys are crushing it. We'll be crushing the NFL draft. March Madness coming up. What do we got? A week and a half until that starts? Less than a week and a half. It's 8 days because we got the first 4, right? Oh, what a great time of the year. What a great time of the year. Mr. Moody, Here's the next one. Sam Darnold. Here's my thoughts on him going to the Seahawks. First of all, the Seahawks, they upgraded. Gino's 34 years old. Darnold's 27. Gino wasn't leading you to the promised land, in my estimation.
No.
Season last year, I don't think he was the guy that we saw in the first 16 regular season games. I don't think he was the guy we saw in the last 2 games, that blowout loss in the playoffs. He was awful then. He was awful against the Lions. But for the Seahawks, they got rid of DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett's gone. They say they want to go run the football more. I don't think it's that. I don't think that the Seahawks are worse right now than they were at this time a week ago. And I'll say this because I think it is a slight upgrade at quarterback. The question is, how are they going to replace DK Metcalf? Do they do it in the draft? That might be the only way to do it. But again, I think Darnold's slight upgrade. They need to figure out what's going on with Metcalf. I don't mind this offense still because they're going to run it. They need to keep Kenny Walker on the field. You like talking fantasy. Charbonnet might be the man. Might be very involved in the passing game. What do you think of Darnold to the Seahawks? And then Gino, he's going to the Raiders. The Raiders just doing stupid Raider things.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I posted about that on X.
Did you? What'd you say?
Oh, it's just kind of more like, I think it really alluded to, it's just, they're just making like mediocre decisions. I'm like, I guess mediocre franchises make these type of decisions. It was kind of alluding with that. And I kind of, posted some clips to it. I think I used one from like the Longest Yard, like remake, with all these kind of washed up players like on the sideline and Burt Reynolds in the, in the jersey and the pads and stuff.
Yeah.
I was just very kind of frustrated once that news kind of came through, but I guess I'll touch on Darnold and then pivot back to Gino. So I do like the move of Darnold to the Seahawks. I'm kind of neutral with it. I'm more excited about the fit with, their new offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, and Darnold. So I expect to see a lot of motion, misdirection, a lot of play action off the outside zone, run looks. Excited about, you mentioned Zach Charbonnet and also with Kenneth Walker III. I am concerned about the receiver situation. Holden, that probably the best way to address that, at least right now, since they did pay to get Darnold, is really just through the draft. But, Jackson Smith, the Jigba, had a breakout season last year. But I think it just kind of positions them for really to double down on the running game. And considering Darnold, coming off of like a career best season, I'm like, he threw for 4,319 yards, 35 touchdowns, even rushed for about 200. I think the best thing to do is just limit limit his exposure. He can pass the ball, but why not leverage those 2 running backs that you have too? So I'm excited. Again, I don't think it's like a big needle mover, but I do like having Darnold there. I don't know. I can go on a long rant here about Gino. I got a lot to say about him. But before I do that, you want to say something?
I want to listen to you talk about Geno Smith because Gino is a turnover machine. I think he had a nice little run there in Seattle. I don't want to. Didn't he make the Pro Bowl? Not that means a lot.
It doesn't even matter. I'm like, come on, the Pro Bowl is like a joke.
Yeah, I mean, Gino to the Raiders does not move the needle. This is not a big. I know they're a quarterback. It's not Gardner Minshew, but this does nothing to move the needle.
Okay, I'll just kind of dive in. So again, very mediocre move. So of course, hey, he's reunited with Pete Carroll. That's great. But Gino's 33 now, 33 or 34. Now everybody's looking at the performance, right? Gino last year was like, well, hey, Moody, he started 17 games. He completed 70.4% of his passes. He threw for 4,320 yards and 21 touchdowns. But here's the deal. You hit the head of the nail, my man, where you mentioned that he did have 15 interceptions, 4 in the red zone. I think that led the league, if my memory serves me right. Now, there are some things to be optimistic about, especially if you're a fantasy manager, if you're big into fantasy. You got Brock Bowers that's there. The reigning tight end 1. He's still going to be a top option for Smith, who likes to lean on his favorite targets. Jacoby Myers is there too. Surprisingly finishes a top 25 fantasy wide receiver last year. I was very surprised. So Smith can support multiple pass catchers. So the quarterback play has obviously improved. We don't even have to get into what the Raiders had at quarterback last year. Gardner Minshew, AJ McConnell. So that was hideous. But I know some people, on whether it's on social media or different places, are like, well, hey, he had a poor offensive line in Seattle. He was under pressure a lot, and he still did these numbers. But the Raiders' offensive line isn't that much better either. So I just don't get excited about it. I was very disappointed to see that the Raiders ended up getting Geno Smith. You know, I'd love to live in a world where the Raiders are actually making some noise, but Geno Smith is not it, my friend.
No,
he's not the solution.
No, I do wonder if he can add a win, just given the garbage that they had under center last year. But we don't have win totals. Free agency's going on right now. We'll still have the draft, but if I had to set the Raiders win total, it'd be between 5.5 and 6, and probably closer to 5.5. This would be a good season if they get 6 wins, right? Look at that division now.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like if you want to try to compete in that division, you know, given the makeup of the teams in that division, like you really have to make a big splash. And Geno Smith is more like a placeholder, you know?
Yeah.
So I was disappointed. So
yeah.
But anyway, I'll get off
we
my
had
rant.
DK going to the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
He's with Pickens, two guys that kind of do the same thing. Again, we're talking about an offensive coordinator, and Arthur Smith just likes to run the football. I don't know how he continues to have jobs, but he does. He must interview well, or, you know, suck up the coaches very well, or general managers. But at this point, the Steelers need a quarterback. That list is dwindling, my friend. No Geno, no Darnold. We might have Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. And this is a franchise that did win some games with Russ last year, won games at the beginning of the season with Fields.
Yeah.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers has a couple of years left that if they throw DK Metcalf out there with him, no, I'm going to answer my own question. They're screwed offensively because this guy had his boy Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson last year.
Didn't make a difference.
And now you got a mercurial Pickens. And DK Metcalf is kind of moody. I shouldn't have said that. He's a little moody of a person, right? They're going to lose Najee Harris, which is fine. I think the Steelers, Tomlin keeps getting 8.5's got to be the win total again. It's a 9-8 team, right?
Yeah, they're definitely another mediocre team. And like to your point, it doesn't matter if they have like Aaron Rodgers like under center. It's I'm just thinking about the move as a whole. I'll kind of touch on it from like a real life NFL lens and also fantasy. You hit the head of the nail with QB uncertainty. You know, we all know that, hey, Metcalf's like a big play threat, you know, one big play waiting to happen, but the quarterback situation is really unclear. You know, you got Russell Wilson. Is he going to return? Sam Darnold's off the table. Justin Fields is off the table now. So will it be Aaron Rodgers? You know, it doesn't get me excited. Like you think about Metcalf's role in like Arthur Smith's offense. I'm like, if he's going to have like a pocket passer, you know, that which is likely going to happen now. That's not fun. You know, Metcalf's a deep threat guy, red zone upside. We get it. But then you just don't know what you're going to get with George Pickens. To your point, you've got two guys that can essentially do the same thing. Who's going to evolve? Who's going to be the bigger man to take on the different role? And so to your point, it's just going to be a run heavy play action scheme. Metcalf, I think he's had 1,000 receiving yards like in two of his last 3 seasons. I think that's about what you're going to get. But I think the breakout of Jackson Smith-Njigba last year in Seattle really kind of has people scratching their heads whether Metcalf is that prototypical wide receiver one that we think he is. I don't know if he's that guy. I'm like, we all remember like the workout picture where, you know, he had his shirt off and standing next to AJ Brown, if my memory serves me right. Yep. We're like, oh, this guy's a monster. He's the next coming of like Calvin Johnson, like Megatron. I don't know. Maybe he's Bumblebee. I don't know.
You're going Transformers on us. I love it.
You know, I don't know, man. I'm not excited about this. So it's just, I know he wanted out of there. They're doing like the rebuilds. I don't know if I'm gonna like, you know, plant my flag and like try to become like one of the top receivers in the league, become the receiver that NFL fans and fantasy football fans want him to be. I just don't know if the Steelers is the right destination given the quarterback situation. So I'm done.
If Rodgers goes there, that is just going to be he's got 2 bona fide deep targets. They do the same exact thing on the field.
Yeah.
They're both physical freaks. Jalen Warren's going to be their running back because no one's paying a second round tender for him. And we'll see how the offense goes. Just keep beefing up the defense and try and win that way. Hey, Moody, Jabroni Clyde, where are you from? The South? Yeah, you're from the South, right?
Texas? Oh, yeah. Born and raised in Mobile, Alabama. Spent some time in Louisiana. Moved to Texas back in late 2005.
All right, so I got two more guys to talk to you about. We can kind of lump them in, and I'll let you get back to life. Smash the like button when you get a second, by the way. Godwin re-signs with the Bucks. He was having a career year before he got injured last year, so it looks like they're going to keep the band together there. And then Davante Adams goes to the Rams. I got something to say here. I think he can be a great number 2 alongside Puka. Puka, though, got, a 40% target share last year. So I don't know how much there's going to be for Davante Adams, but at this point, Cooper Kupp's cooked, man. From week 12 on, here's the numbers. This is from your site, ESPN. 51st out of 69 wide receivers in separation rate. Route win rate, 44th in the league. So I'm taking Adams over Kupp all day. I think this is a nice signing. Davante's 32. He's not the best wide receiver in the league anymore. He could still play Robin to Puka's Batman. I like this move a lot. I don't know where Kupp's going. On the other side, I think Godwin, it's a great re-sign here with the Bucks coming off the injury, but Davante Adams first. I'm a fan of this move. How about you?
No, yeah, me too. This is the one I was probably most excited about, and the one where I definitely posted some things on X as soon as I heard this news.
Okay.
So I'm with you. One thing about Adams, though, you think about him being like the 1A to 1B. I think it could be that kind of scenario next to Puka is amazing. I'm like, hey, he's 32 years old, still may be, I would say, like a medical marvel, because I think on ESPN's like separation score, I want to say, if my memory serves me right, I think he finished like 14th, like overall. So still very high, can still create space and separation, and get open. So for fantasy, I do like him as a high-end wide receiver too. Nakua is still going to be the guy there, but I think they're both going to accumulate like a lot of targets. And it's just, you're thinking, okay, Stafford, these guys like Adams and Stafford, I'm like, they both know that, hey, this is kind of getting closer to our last dance, the final rodeo. So if they're going to win, and I know Adams wants a Super Bowl, I think this is a great place to do it. With Sean McVay, I'm like, who's going to get the targets? I'm like, he's been, consistent. I'm like, he's one of 4 players with 1,000 or more receiving yards in each of the last 5 seasons. Only one out of that group with 8 or more touchdowns like every year. He's great in fantasy. We've seen what he can do, whether he's in Green Bay, whether he's in Oakland, whether he's with the Jets, with Rodgers. And so I'm just really excited about this move. I think both of those guys in Adams and Nakua can coexist. I'm just really excited to see what this team does, because I'll pass it back to you, Holden. I don't know what you think, man, but I felt like these two or this Rams team, like really exceeded expectations last year. And I'm like, this is a team that they were like knocking on the door, potentially going to the Super Bowl,
I think this team has one of the top 5 head coaches in the league. First of all, McVay, right? Second of all, you had a completely washed Cooper Kupp down the stretch. Puka was banged up, but he's turned into one of the most electrifying players in the game, not just wide receivers in the game. So look at their skill position. This is just offense. You'd like for him to pick up a piece on the offensive line, but Stafford, Kyron, then you go to Puka, you go Davante Adams. Everybody forgets about Tyler Higbee being a total stud, but he was hurt last year. The skill positions with the Rams are tremendous. The question is, can their defense take a step up? Can they protect Matthew Stafford? But at this point, for me, I would set this win total at 9.5.
No,
10 and 17. If they would stop getting off to these slow starts, Moody, they'd be fine. But the last 2 years, they're digging themselves a huge hole, and they got to catch up just to get a wild card.
But it does speak volumes with them making this move. They knew they needed to make a move. They need to make a splash. I'm like, this is the biggest splash that they can make, like really at wide receiver. Just go get Adams. Go get the guy. I'm like, you got Puka there. So we'll see what other moves they make in free agency and also in the draft. But I am really, really excited about this team. And we'll probably sync up again, I'm assuming probably, in the next month or so. As you know, as we were talking before going live, I'm like, I am all into NBA right now because I do NBA stuff too. But once I have a chance to look at these lines, see where the dust settles with these teams, we'll definitely talk some futures bets with NFL stuff here in the near future. But you want me to rant about Godwin for a little bit?
No, you go back and do your thing, man. You're a busy man. But I'll just leave it with this. Godwin, very happy he's back. One of the good guys in the league. And Baker's got one of the elite. Let's go put that up against the Rams, right? Godwin Evans versus Adams and Puka.
Oh yeah, man.
I'll go with the Buck side there. Bucky Irving, proven. I mean, he's a total stud. Mm-hmm. They got Kate Otten. The Bucks offense is.
They got some playmakers. Got a new play caller in there too with as well. So that should be exciting. One thing that was fascinating with Godwin though is that he I think it was nearly 60% of his yards last year came like after the catch. I'm like he was a monster before getting hurt. Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised that he did sign with the Buccaneers though, just because I thought he was going to try to go elsewhere to kind of get that career defining like payday. Excuse me. But I'm excited to have him back. I mean, he works so well with Baker Mayfield and with Mike Evans. So again, this is a team that can definitely make some noise. They've got the pieces around on the team to do so. But we'll see.
Moody, where do they find your stuff? I know Jabroni Clyde wants an NBA bet. Where do they find your stuff, friend?
Well, if he wants an NBA bet, the column I think was published maybe like under 2 hours ago. Because I do NBA betting, like picks, like props, spreads, whatever kind of tickles my fancy. That's always usually on Mondays, Fridays, and sometimes on Wednesday. I have like a rotating column. Sometimes I'll do like a futures column or something like that. But you can find all that content over at ESPN.com. I would also say too, follow me on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. I'm pretty active on the platform. So if you have any questions or anything, send me a DM. Happy to interact with you there on the timeline. But you can find all my stuff at ESPN and follow me at Eric and Moody on X.
You're the man, Moody. Thanks for the time, pal. I always appreciate catching up with you. You're right. I need to text you just during games. You're right. Yeah. I just need to text Moody and see how life is.
Yeah, just text me during games. You'll see what's up. Look forward to interacting with you and everyone else, man. But hey, until next time, let's sync up again in the near future to talk some NFL futures.
I just want you to know that my wife says the same thing, though. She's like, why don't you ever text me? So it's not just Moody. It's everybody. Okay? Yeah, we got to talk some NFL draft. I'm going to do that here in a second. Thanks, Moody.
All right. I'll see you, brother.
Got it, pal. Big fan. Eric Moody, ESPN. Couple other things I want to get to here. I think there was some news that just came down. So Connor Hughes, Connor Hughes, a longtime NFL reporter, Jets and Giants with SNY out there. Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback the Giants want, he says they're waiting to find out if he wants them. I mean, if you're Aaron Rodgers, I would think that Pittsburgh would be number one, right? Because at least you have a legitimate head coach. Now, Dable, I mean, that whole situation there and with the Giants was a disaster. And then the Titans might want him as well. The Titans really don't seem that close. I mean, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, now there's other things besides for the best team, but I would think the Steelers would be number one. But this is going to really, really be interesting for the NFL draft because Aaron Rodgers is going to have a major say in who goes where. If he goes to the Titans, we could see Carter going number one. He was 9-1. Now he's plus 250 to go number one. Or if he goes to the Giants and all of a sudden the Giants aren't trading up with the Titans, the Giants would not be getting Cam Ward. Who would be the other team that would trade up to get Cam Ward? That's the question. If Aaron Rodgers goes to the Giants, though, again, I think the dude's totally washed. He's nothing more than a game manager at this point, a guy that has a lot of history and a lot of experience. But does Aaron Rodgers really want to play again? Look at the teams he'd be going to. Tennessee? No. Tennessee should draft a quarterback. Giants, debacle of a franchise. Steelers, not going to win a Super Bowl there unless Aaron Rodgers thinks he's still Aaron Rodgers. But I did want to talk about the draft real quick and Cam Ward. So Cam Ward is now unbettable. He opened at minus 105 to be the first pick in the draft. He's now minus 370. And I had a question. They're like, hey, man, I want to bet Cam Ward. Should I lay the 370? I'm like, absolutely not. Like, if you're going to bet Cam Ward to go number one at this point, you better just hope that the Giants trade up and get him and bet the Giants to pick number one overall at plus 135. Because if the Giants move up, they're taking Cam Ward in all likelihood. I mean, maybe there's a left turn where you see Shedeur Sanders, but the Giants might as well stay put where they are if they want Shedeur because he could drop. I think the number one overall draft pick at this point really seems to be pointing to Cam Ward unless the Titans get Aaron Rodgers or a quarterback that they want, and they can move from there. But again, you look at the draft odds. Cam Ward minus 370 to go number 1. Giants plus 135 to get the number 1 overall pick in the draft. That's the way I'd attack it. I don't know if the Browns are going to move up and get a quarterback with their big issues. They should. They need a quarterback. The Jets, 20-1 to get the first pick. They're a debacle. The Raiders just made a trade for Geno. So, and the Seahawks at, 150-1? They just got Sam Darnold. So they're not moving up. Again, don't lay the price with Cam Ward. If you're going to bet this bet and you think Cam Ward's going number 1, I would take the Giants at plus 135, but I'd also wait. I'd wait to see where Aaron Rodgers ends up going. All right, smash the like button on the way out. Jabroni Clyde, always good to see you, my friend. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Get 1 free week at Nuke the House. Go to nukethehouse.com. Sign up for any plan. We won't charge you after 7 days, but use the code NASCAR is back. Right up there, NASCAR is back. You'll get 1 free week. I'm going to start doing this show every Monday. We'll have guests on. We'll have a lot of information and obviously a big day with free agency. But I want to thank you for checking out this show today. I'm Kush. Let's go nuke the house.